Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. It is Wednesday, April 7th, in the year of COVID 2021. We are live right now. It is 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're here on this planet and care about such things, you are enough. Hello, hello, hello. Listen. That's that giant set of Gregorian wind chimes hanging out back. I specifically chose them because their vibration is so low that it travels easily through the walls, and we get the sound if you're sitting on the couch near the large window that you can't see, which is further past the cat post. You can hear the chimes quite well. And I just love having the sound of them. Yesterday we had them as out in the yard, where we're listening to the front set as well as the rear set together, and they do harmonize. It's quite beautiful. So first, as always, let me express my love for each and every one of you. You're exactly who you need to be, and you're exactly where you need to be right now. And cool, I see Louisa popped up, and that's great. I had left the balcony door open a little bit just to enhance the sound, and hopefully the wind will, work with us on that. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, there's a really disturbing trend that appears to be exacerbated by what's happened with this pandemic and the general state of the world. And it's been played upon for years and years, but it really seems to be coming more and more to a head. And that is the concept that somehow you're not enough. That who you are simply is not good enough in some way, or not enough. And it usually comes down to that not good enough. And this core concept that we're either afraid of, that we're not enough or not good enough, or in our subconscious mind, we literally are not enough. We believe it wholeheartedly. And then we begin to live our lives from that point. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of so-called self-improvement and self-help, so-called gurus who are somehow going to make a fundamental change in you if you follow exactly what they tell you to do. That's somehow going to make that not enoughness suddenly enough. And we got to talk about how that forms. We really do. So one of the largest issues around our sense of enoughness actually involves our own authenticity. And, Kelly, when she and I first met, Kelly thought she was quite authentic. And I kept pointing out to her time and time again that actually she was actually quite inauthentic. And that seems to be a terrible thing to say about someone else, but it's not a judgment at all. It's reality. Most people lack authenticity where it counts. With themselves. And I'll tell you how that usually begins, okay? There are some other reasons why, but the core psychological component that occurs, that this I'm not enough sort of grows around, is the idea that's been hammering in your head since the time that you were young, that your happiness in some way hinges on approval from another or from a group of others. Now, this begins when you're a child. If you do something bad, you receive some sort of beration. You're berated for what you've done or what you've said or whatever the case may be. And you, as a young child, are basically programmed with the concept that when you do something that others perceive as bad, that means you're bad or you behave badly and you're no longer happy, and you can tell that the other people aren't happy with you. So, where this turns into dysfunction is the idea that your happiness depends on approval, that you need someone else. And forgive the beeping in Kelly. I meant to mention this. As you can see behind me, Kelly is making her famous recipe cookies, and we can't give the recipe out because this is a frozen cookie that is designed to be eaten frozen. And there isn't a drop of added sugar in any way to it. And it's a totally healthy cookie, and they're frozen, and they're just to die for. Even with my dentures, I still cut them up and eat them.
We'll share.
So Kelly will be going back and forth with this. So I do apologize for that. Back to this concept of our happiness and the relying on the approval of others. Now, the one thing that we are not taught as children that was necessary and is necessary to teach to children, and I'm not saying all children, but the vast majority, is that you are the source and the cause of your own well-being. You cannot find the source or the cause of your well-being outside of yourself. And I know that's hard to accept. You've been programmed to accept that. On some level, your well-being depends on what the exterior appears to be like. You really have two components of your being, and there's actually three, but the third isn't involved in this so much. And these two components of your being can be thought of as your unconditioned self, that innocent, joyous, pure being that you truly are, and then your conditioned self or learned self, which is your sense of I, your egoic being, which is really just that memory bank of experiences that's self-aware and judges everything according to those experiences. So we've been taught egoically that the good lies outside of ourselves. So it's very easy for us to feel like we're not enough. That is an illusion and a very limited perception. Even in the words, I love you, from someone else who is gazing deep in your eyes, you are not actually feeling their love any more than you're feeling your own loving response. And I would argue that all you're doing is vibrating in harmony with them. But they're a trigger, and you don't need that trigger. You are your own trigger. The good is within you. And the reason this is so important to understand that you are enough and to accept yourself exactly how you are right now. No amount of self-improvement, no amount of self-help, no book you will buy, no seminar you will attend will make a single difference to you if you still lack self-acceptance. And this is so important that you accept yourself as you are right now. No matter what others may say about you, no matter what you may choose to judge about yourself, all of creation knows that you are perfect. And that what is going on right now is absolutely perfect. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot engage in practices to enliven and grow your level of consciousness. You notice I'm not saying to better yourself, because there is nothing to better. As a matter of fact, the whole concept of bettering yourself is false. It's an illusion. What you're really doing is letting go of the perceived self, letting go of that learned self, that egoic self that thinks it's not enough. You are enough. The ego believes good is on the outside. That happiness and joy and your ability to be authentic and to feel like you're enough depends on some external influence. You have no control. And it is an illusion. You are the source. The relationship you have with yourself determines the relationship you have with everyone else around you. Now, this may sound kind of damning if you're struggling. There's no hope for you. You can't blame it on yourself. You can't blame it outside of yourself anymore. And you shouldn't blame it on yourself. You do, however, well, you don't have to, but sooner or later you will, have to accept responsibility for your own self and a willingness to become authentic with yourself. Now, you may feel that you're not enough. I'm going to remind you that in all of creation, God only made one of you. Now, that wasn't because it was a mistake. She only makes one of each of us. There is nothing in all creation, not a single grain of sand, not a single insect, not a single tree, plant, planet, rock. It doesn't matter. Not a single living being is an exact replica of another. Each is its own unique gift unto God. Apparently, Sunshine is agreeing with me. Or whining for a snack already. One of the two. So in roughly 14 billion years, there's only ever been one of you, and there will never be another one of you again. Why? Because you offer a unique, one-of-a-kind view back upon creation that God is utilizing since the moment you came here until the moment you leave. You know, it always amazed me about people who are so steeped in religious dogma that they never looked closely enough at their own dogma to really see the truth of it. There is nothing that has not already occurred. There is nothing unknown about your journey here. There is a plan. And the reason that is possible is because the concept of time is only limited to our point of view. Past, present, and future are all occurring in the simultaneous moment. Every expression of creation occurring simultaneously within this moment. Where in that is there a single particle that could not be enough? Where in that is a single life form that could somehow be left out of that perfect plan? So why is it such a problem to become authentic? And what does it really mean to be authentic? To be authentic is to accept that you are enough. And then to begin to take actions, thoughts, words, and deeds from that place. Now, it can be difficult to accept that you're enough. The ego is very tricky. It will take on any cloak it can find in order to maintain its sense of identity. That includes the victim. The idea that you're not enough and that you will be forever beaten about by the external circumstances of your life. And believe it or not, that can develop a sort of comfortable state of being. And the only reason it's comfortable is the pain that's being created, the suffering that's happening, is not growing past the fear of having to become authentic with oneself. Authenticity with oneself is understanding that even though you have a little version of you, that learned self, that programmed self, at all times there is an unconditioned pure you still there. And that by far is the largest, truest sense of who you are. And you can reach into your being at any time and find that. Now, of course, when it comes to our food, clothing, shelter, working together is the best way to go. And I'm not saying that at any time we should strive to keep ourselves away from other people. Maybe in the pandemic, it's a good idea. What I am saying is this. When you become 100% authentic with yourself, in other words, when you accept yourself exactly as you are today, with whatever perceived faults you wish to judge upon yourself, once you're willing to see that clearly and understand that it is perfect in what it's offering, you have to begin to take action. You have to begin to think from this place of enoughness of being loved enough by all of creation. You know, the concept of God loving you, do you understand how grand that is? What that means is every little particle in all of creation, which all is part of that same God consciousness, loves you. It says, as you wish to you. Don't be afraid to start exercising that self-acceptance of being. And that means when you're sad and tired of life, allow yourself to be okay with the experience of your egoic self being sad and tired with life. It's okay. It's not something you shouldn't feel. And it can be anything that you've concocted through your thought processes. Begin to become aware of those thought processes that are impacting the way you feel. And strive to change those thought processes. Because as anyone who's met me or seen me long term, they know that I see everything inside of everybody. You all have these hearts of pure gold. Every last one of you. Believe it or not, even the rapist, even the murderer has a heart of pure gold. It is always us that must ask ourselves, what have we done to the perfect creation that we are? To see the illusion that's presented in front of us. Not to berate ourselves, not to go back and to blame, but to begin to take responsibility and begin to create anew. And this is the gift. And, you know, it's talked about in many religious circles as being made anew or born again. You are offered that in every single moment of your being. There is no time where you cannot simply decide that you are no longer willing to live with the concept that you are not enough. You no longer need to accept anyone else's concept that you are somehow not enough. You are enough. And there is no need to better yourself. What you need to do is get back in touch with yourself, your real self. And in that, once you have come to the place where you have healed that chasm between the higher self that you are and the appearance of that learned self or egoic being, once those lines have blurred themselves, you will no longer be in that state. You will understand that no matter what is happening right now, you are a powerful spiritual being here having this human experience, and it is perfect in creation's eyes. There is no right and no wrong in your decisions and your choices. There are only your decisions and your choices and the energetic balancing that must occur based on them. Now, yes, you can choose to go rob a bank and you will likely experience the energetic balancing of going and spending some time in prison. But don't allow yourself to get caught up so much in life that you are stuck still, always afraid of whether you're going to do the right thing. Right and wrong are two sides of a coin depending on the experience. And any choice you make, as I've said, you're given the opportunity to make that choice anew in any moment. And when you do so, it will be right now. Much love to you this evening. Namaste. Have a beautiful Wednesday night. And we'll speak again very soon.